It's 2023 and there's a lot of uncertainty in the real estate market right now. There's a lot of information and it's hard to decipher. Should I buy a house? Should I sell a house? Is the market going to crash? What should I do? We're going to break it down for you, at least on a local level for the Knoxville area, so you have a little more clarity on what's going on and what you should expect for the rest of this year. About the real estate market, especially on a local level, I brought Jody Neubauer in, our listing manager, who what I would consider our local expert in our office, and can discuss a little bit about what's going on with the real estate market and is it really going to crash. And based on what we're seeing right now, a real estate market crash seems highly unlikely. So Jody, talk a little bit about what you're seeing and why we think that.
Kind of what we're seeing is, I think a lot of people kind of feel that way too, where there was a poll that was done where 41% of Americans felt like we were on a housing bubble or, a financial downturn. And this was taken in the wintertime, which really, there's no indication pointing to that. And if you look at the statistics from the last crash, which you want to call it a crash, in 2007, there's a lot of differences in this market versus that market. And a lot of them have to do with the lending practices are very tight now versus back then. They were really pretty much handing out loans. We have a strong labor market, very, very low foreclosure rate. And I know you did a lot of foreclosures and short sales back then too, and years ago. And there are just not many out there. There's a few, but not many. And equity is really, really high. I think the average, we're at a 70% rate of owner equity, which is I think that's a historical record from any other time in the past. 30% of the current loans are owned by banking institutions. So we're financially in a very sound position on average.
Right. So all the metrics that we're seeing in this market are showing strength and no signs of any significant crash coming, despite how you may feel. Another thing to think about too, all of these statistics on top of the fact that we're looking at this on a very local level. And what you hear on the national media or what you see on the headlines when you're scrolling through social media, probably not the best place to get your real estate market data. You really want to focus on what's going on in the greater Knoxville area. Because again, what's happening here and what happens in other places in the country can be completely different. And these metrics that we're looking at are all local, showing a lot of strength, low unemployment, a lot of opportunity here. And so all of those things are feeding into a very healthy real estate market. And so we're seeing a lot of opportunity going forward, which kind of segues into what I wanted to talk about next, which is on both sides of a real estate transaction, where are the opportunities right now? Okay, great. The real estate market's really healthy. If I'm buying a home in Knoxville, am I buying at the top of the market? If I'm selling, should I wait? What should I do? So let's look at this from two different vantage points, Jody. On the buying side, we've got tremendous opportunities because of the fact that we're in an area and in a market that's growing tremendously, right? And you can speak to that. We've seen a lot of changes in Knoxville over the past, 10 to 20 years.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Home values have increased quite a bit. Even this year, kind of going a little bit, we were saying about a national level and a local level, we're pretty much everywhere is on track to hit around 3 to 5% in an increase in home values this year, which is that's on pace for a normal year. So for a lot of those people that are waiting, that I'm going to wait for it to bust, or I'm waiting for that deal, you're probably going to be waiting for a while. There's definitely, I don't think anybody foresees prices coming down. They'll continue to increase in this area. Like you said, there's way too much demand of people moving to Knoxville, and very few people are leaving Knoxville. So that's kind of compounded our situation with our low inventory.
Right. So that's the key, right? People feel like because we've had such a high trajectory in home price appreciation over the past few years, that eventually what goes up must come down. But you have to understand that on the trajectory chart of this city, we're still on a very high upward swing in the grand scheme of things. And just to put some perspective into place, if you had purchased a house in the last downswing, 10, 12 years ago, your house and home price has almost doubled in some cases.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're thinking long-term buying in Knoxville, tremendous amount of opportunity. Don't feel like you're buying at the top of the market. There's still a lot of opportunity for growth here, and we're seeing that every month with what we're seeing in the market and the numbers as well. On the seller side, you're in great shape. Easy to say that. You touched on it earlier. You're in great shape, especially over the past 3 years. I mean, a lot of people have 10 to 25% home appreciation just in 3 years. So if you had bought in 2019, your house is probably worth more than it was in 2019, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And you said earlier that what 70% of people have equity in their homes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, that was almost the opposite of when it was in 2007. So.
Right. And it may even be higher in this local area too. So chances are, if you are in a situation where you think you need to sell or you have to sell, you're going to be in a case where you're probably going to be walking away with some money, and in some cases more than you even thought you would. So again, important to talk about how each side can benefit in this market. But really the point we want to hammer home in this is in 2023, we don't see a real estate market crash coming. In fact, we see home price appreciation in this area, which is counterintuitive to how a lot of people feel and what's going on in the news and what people are feeling like is going to happen in the national economy, right?
Absolutely.
Jody, thank you so much for the information.
Hey, no problem. Glad to be here.